their draft needs. Mike, what comes to mind?
Well, the most glaring two spots to me are receiver and cornerback. They've been looking for compliments to Steve Smith for so long that they're not going to find one by the time he retires. And then at corner, they got rid of one of their best cover guys, Chris Gamble. Got to replace him some way, somehow. They don't have the cap space in free agency to do it. The best way to do it, then, is to go with rookies who come very cheap now, thanks to the 2011 rookie wage scale. So receiver, corner, they have got to deal with those two areas in this year's draft.
They were at least trying in free agency with Dave Florence and DJ Moore and Captain Maryland, but I don't know about that cornerback situation. As Mike brought up, where do you see their needs, Russ?
I'm going to go with the lineman. I'm going to start with defensive tackle again. You look at those guys they have right now, they're just guys. I mean, Dwan Edwards, Siani Fua, they're not excellent players.
Dwan Edwards is good, you dumbass. He was ranked one of the best defensive tackles last year, if not the best. Look it up. Panthers.com, bitch.
When you look at what they've done in the draft over
God,
the
they
last 3 years,
hate on our team so much. What the fuck?
What they've done at the quarterback position. They had good and bad. When Notre Dame's Jimmy Clausen didn't look the part in 2010, Carolina took Cam Newton #1 overall the very next season. But when you look at an overall grade, Mike Florio, for the Carolina Panthers, just in the draft, just last 3 years, what's the grade?
Well, you know, there's a reason GM Marty Herney got fired during the 2012 season. There have been some bad picks over the last 3 years. I'd put them at a C-, and they're only that high because in consecutive years in the first round, Cam Newton, the Offensive Rookie of the Year in 2011, and then Luke Kuechly, the Defensive Rookie of the Year in 2012. Beyond that, it's a little bit shaky, or maybe a lot shaky. But to have those two positions taken care of well into the future, that's a good sign for the Panthers.
I went C+. I like Kuechly and Newton going back-to-back with Offensive and Defensive Rookie of the Years a little better, but I'm not unsympathetic to Mike's point. What's your grade, Ross?
I'm going to give him a C. I think Herney actually mainly got fired because of what he did with contracts, with guys like the running backs, some of the other players. But you're right. If you look, other than Kuechly and Newton, they have not hit on very many. The reason why they're C+, C+ for me, Greg Hardy in the 6th round, 2010. He burst onto the scene in a major way this year. That helps their grade tremendously.
All right, how much talent on the roster? 1 to 53. We're writing down team names in order. How many team names were we writing down before we said Carolina Panthers in terms of their talent level?
22, I'd say.
Wow.
Yeah, I'd say
that's
22.
That's a specific
number.
Well,
listen,
I like it.
20, 21, 22. No, here's the deal. They've got the running backs that have talent. They have Steve Smith. They have Cam Newton. You have Luke Kuechly. They're defensive ends. Charles Johnson. And the guy I just mentioned, Greg Hardy, that's a legitimate pass rushing duo. You know what the problem is? They don't have very many B- players. They either have 5 or 6 guys.
Studs and scrubs.
Yeah, they got 5 or 6 A guys, and then the rest of the guys are like C- guys. They need more good players. They got the great and the okay. They need some more good.
Studs and scrubs, good fans.
Well, obviously, every team needs some good.
10 teams that have less talent than the Panthers, 1 to 53. I might put them a little lower, but Mike Florio, how do you see their talent? How do you assess their 1 to 53?
Ross has them at 22. I can name that tune in 21 notes. I put them in that same ballpark. Look, and it's amazing to have a franchise quarterback but not have enough pieces around him to be as competitive as they need to be. We talked about the Buccaneers. They've got the pieces except the franchise quarterback. The Panthers don't have many pieces beyond the franchise quarterback and now that middle linebacker who's going to be the heart and soul of the defense for years to come. They are not far away, but they're definitely in the bottom third of the NFL for now.
All right, that's
what?
Tampa and Carolina and their draft needs.
You are fucking retarded.
Of all the players in this year's draft, who's the best defensive player?